Do you stay over here only?
I stay near Eastman School.
Near school. For how long you are in this school? Same school? Eastman School?
Just after 10.
Up till class 10, where were you?
Before class 10, I was at KV number 2.
KV number 2.
Yes.
Number 2?
Because some problems were also because of admission, attendance problems.
Attendance problem. So you wanted to give much of time, not going to school, and give more of time in
Yes.
in education. Start. Okay, so today's I'm going to start with the topic called Animal Kingdom. So it's a live class. So feel free to ask me any questions that you are already having. Fine, if you have got any. See, the topic is about Animal Kingdom, and when we talk about this chapter, Animal Kingdom, this is a very, very important class, important topic. Very good evening. It's a very important topic for especially NEET. Okay, so why? Because every year minimum four questions come from this chapter called Animal Kingdom. Okay, now Animal Kingdom, that means we have already covered how many topics? We have covered the first topic called the living world. The living world. Again, you know that in NCERT some of the topics have been deleted from this chapter, like the keys of taxonomic keys is already been deleted. So many of the topics being deleted from that chapter. Then the second chapter we have dealt up with is biological classification. Is about biological classification. Now, classification also, it's very, very important, where we have talked about 2 kingdom classification, 3 kingdom classification, 4 kingdom, 5 kingdom, and even we have talked about 6 kingdom and 7 kingdom classification also. Now, this classification chapter, we know according to the 5 kingdom classification, there are 5 different types. What are they that we have studied about kingdom? Come on, tell me. Kingdom, first kingdom, Monera, which includes all unicellular prokaryotes. All unicellular prokaryotes, examples mainly are the organisms which comes under that is blue-green algae and bacteria. Blue-green algae and bacteria. The second type of kingdom is kingdom protista. So when we talk about kingdom protista, that means we are talking about mainly all unicellular eukaryotes. All unicellular eukaryotes. The third one is kingdom fungi, which includes all multicellular eukaryotes, but the mode of nutrition is what? The mode of nutrition is they are saprophytes or saprotrophs. The fourth kingdom is about kingdom plantae, which includes all multicellular eukaryotes, but the mode of nutrition is autotrophs. What is the fifth one? Fifth one is kingdom Animalia. So when we talk about kingdom Animalia, we are talking about what? All multicellular eukaryotes. But what is the mode of nutrition? The mode of nutrition is heterotrophs. So that means in third chapter, we have already covered about plant kingdom. We have covered about plant kingdom. And the fourth chapter that we are now dealing up with is animal kingdom, which includes all multicellular. So all multicellular eukaryotes and all multicellular eukaryotes, and their mode of nutrition is what? They are basically heterotrophs. Hetero means what? Different. Those organisms which depends upon different organisms for their food. Clear? Now, under this kingdom Animalia, we have to understand. So we are talking about the most advanced organism called kingdom Animalia. So let us find out how we can classify kingdom Animalia. How we can classify kingdom Animalia. So there are many of the basis. On many bases we can classify them. So let us have some conversation and we are going to go on. Fine, it should not one way, it should be both the ways. Number one, the first way we can classify organisms is on the basis of their level of organization. So the first one is what? Level of organization. So level of organization. So on the basis of level of organization, we can classify organism into 4 types. So basically, let us do like this. Fine. Let me tell you, my dear students, you know, the moment you study, you have to study like this. This is the way that you should classify organisms, because your brain, your cerebrum is going to memorize things when it is written in classifying order, not in a written pattern. If I could have gone by this way also, A, B, C, D, E, your brain is going to get confused. So brain always remembers sketches, clear, sketches. So always try to, you know, classify things in biology or any other subject. Level of organization, number 1 is cellular level. That means cellular is the basic unit, because we know the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of life. So the first way that we can classify organism, that is animals, is on the basis of level of organizations, and the basic level of organization is what? Cellular level of organizations. The second type is what? Tissue level of organization. So when we talk about tissue level, that means many of the cells together having same origin and common functions, we call it tissue. So definitely tissue level is a little bit more advanced over cellular, more advanced over cellular. Do we have tissue level? No. Many of the tissues together, they make what? Organ. So the third one is organ level of organization, which is a little bit more advanced over tissue level. And the last one is about organ system level of organization. Organ system level of organizations. Now, when we talk about organ system level of organizations, that means we are talking about what? The most advanced type of organisms. Like, we are the most advanced. Why? Because we have got, help me out, what are the organ systems that we are having in our body? Yes, tell me somebody. We have got, come on, system. We have got digestive system. Very good. We have got digestive system. We have got circulatory system. Circulatory system. Now you have got the idea. Now respiratory system. Go on. Yes, excretory system. Then excretory system. Then we have the reproductive system, nervous system, endocrine system. So that means this is the most advanced type of level of organizations. Fine. And because this is live class, I would, suggest you, if you have got any doubt, you can comment me in the comment section. Okay. Now, organ system is the most advanced one. Organ system is the most advanced type. Now, when we have talked about level of organizations, I must tell you that the question in NEET comes from name the phylum wherein they have got cellular level of organizations. Name the phylum wherein for the first time they have got tissue level of organizations. Name the phylum which are having for the first time organ level of organizations. Or sometimes they can ask you about the organism having, or the phylum having organ system for the first time. So mind you, first time they are not going to ask about last time because still evolution is going on. So they cannot ask you about this. Clear? So first time name the organism having this as a, any one of them, they can ask you any one of them as the first level of organizations. The second way that we can classify animals is on the basis of symmetry. Is on the basis of symmetry. What is the meaning of symmetry? Symmetry means we can classify them. We can classify them into 3 different symmetries, 3 different ways. What are they? The first one is asymmetrical. Now, what is the meaning of symmetry? That means, say this is amoeba. It's a unicellular. What? Eukaryote or prokaryote? Come on, tell me. When we talk about amoeba proteus, when we talk about amoeba proteus, this is unicellular, eukaryote or unicellular prokaryote. It's a unicellular eukaryote organism. So if this amoeba, which is irregular shaped organism, if you want to cut it into 2 equal halves, if we have the mechanism, can we cut it into 2 equal halves in any plane? No. If we cannot divide a particular organism into 2 equal halves in any plane, we call them to be asymmetrical. Mind you again. Yes, Ankita, are you getting me? What is it? Asymmetrical means what? Without. That means if we are not being able to divide an organism into 2 equal halves in any plane, then we are going to call it as asymmetrical. So definitely they are going to be very, very primitive type of organisms. The second type is what? After asymmetrical, they are bilateral symmetrical. Very good. Bilateral symmetry. They show bilateral symmetry. What is the meaning of bilateral? Bi is what? Two. Lateral means what? So say this is organism, this is human being, this is human being. Fine, this is human being. And say this is it. Yeah, this is human being. Now, some of you is like this, say Tushar is like this. So Tushar, if I cut you into two equal halves, I'm going to cut in this plane. This is the only plane I can cut you into two equal halves. Think about Tushar is having, being human, he is having a vertical column. So at the back side, he is having vertebral column, that is which is called as backbone. That means you can divide any organism, any vertebrate, be it cow, buffalo, dog, cat, right from the tip of the snout to the tip of the tail. You can divide it, and while dividing, while cutting into two equal halves, you have to cut out what? The backbone also. If you start cutting out from the nose of a dog, if you cut it, you have to divide from right from the vertebral column till the tip of the tail. That means all vertebrates, they show what? Bilateral symmetry. But when we are talking about kingdom Animalia, that means we are talking about invertebrata first, that is non-chordates. Then we are going to talk about protochordates, and then we're going to talk about chordates. So we come under which phylum? Chordata. So the most advanced organisms, but they are also present in some invertebrata. Clear? So bilateral symmetry, basically they are present in all vertebrates, and then when we are going to study about each phylum, we are going to understand it. So bilateral symmetry is definitely advanced over asymmetrical. So this is the second type. The third type is radial symmetry. The third type is radial symmetry. When we talk about radial symmetry, that means radial means what? Radial means whenever we talk about radial symmetry, that means what comes immediately in our mind is about starfish. We can divide starfish into two equal halves in more than one plane. We can divide in this plane, we can divide in this plane and make two equal halves. We can divide in this plane and get two equal halves. That means radial symmetry are shown by those organisms which can be divided into two equal halves in more than one plane. But in case of bilateral symmetry, they can be divided only in one plane. They can be divided into two equal halves in only one plane. Can I divide Tushar into two equal halves in this plane? Never ever. So that is the difference between radial and bilateral and radial symmetry. Yes, you got the idea? Yes. So what is the difference between asymmetrical, bilateral symmetrical and radial symmetry? Asymmetrical, you cannot divide the body into two equal halves in any plane. Bilateral, two equal halves in only one plane. Radial, two equal halves in more than one plane. Example of this is what? Starfish. Example of this is what? Starfish. Now, my dear students, whenever we talk about any organism, always remember that when we talk about any organisms, we have to understand, we have to remember the scientific name of that organism. We have to remember the scientific name of that organism. Is this clear? What is the scientific name of starfish? And mind you, this should be your nature. If you want to make big in your life, mind you, how you can distinguish yourself from other students? By knowing those scientific names which majority of the students they don't know. Mind you that. Because this year you have seen in NEET, I must not remind you again, NEET 2025 was what kind of difficulty level was there. So always think about it. Starfish is what? Scientific name of starfish is Asterias. Very good. Asterias. Now, the moment we talk about aster means what? Star. Aster means what? Star. Can anybody tell me a particular type of sclerenchyma starting with aster? Sclerenchyma starting with aster. Astrosclerids. Astrosclerids. They are star-shaped sclerids. And the presence of that sometimes can affect what? Our esophagus. There is allergical reactions which occurs due to having some food which we get highly allergic, and there is a problem in our esophagus lining. So they are aster. Aster means what? Star. Now we can also classify the symmetry into one and another one, and that is after radial we can also call it as a biradial. which is not there in our NCERT. Biradial means bilateral and radial. Those organisms which can show what kind of symmetry? Bilateral symmetry as well as radial symmetry. What kind of organisms can show like that? Say for example, yes, new student, what is your name?
Subitan, sir.
Subitan.
Subitan, sir.
Subitan. Subitan, you tell me. If this is a sea anemone, this comes under phylum NEET area, they have got tentacles over there. It's a sea anemone. Some say, Subitan, you have your birthday and you have invited 10 of your friends. So how many pieces of this birthday cake you are going to make? 10 pieces. So how you are going to make it? You are going to make a radial symmetry. 10 pieces. 10 other good friends of yours whom you have not invited. They have come down without invitation just to make you embarrassed. And also they are going to make fun of you. Fine? Now think about it. Not 20, 10 more friends have come. What are you going to do? You want to cut it from here? So how many pieces you are now going to have? 20 pieces. So this shows what? Bilateral symmetry as well as it is showing off with what? Radial symmetry. So majority of the Neetarians, they show biradial symmetry. Got the point? Got the point? So this is biradial. So an organism which can be divided into two equal halves in one plane as well as in more than one plane. They are called as biradial symmetry. So on the basis of symmetry, we have classified them into 4 different types. The third way of classifying all the animal kingdom is about on the basis of body cavity. On the basis of body cavity. And what is that? That is called coelom. That is called coelom. Now what is coelom? Let me give you this idea first. Say this is again, say, who is it? Subitan. Okay, let's talk about him. What is this, Babu? This is stomach. Now this is intestine. Digestion. Okay. Now this is small intestine. This joins with the large intestine. This is vermiform appendix. Then this is the ascending what? Ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, rectum, the sigmoid colon, and this is anus. Now consider this is your body and this is your whole body. Now between, think about it. Now this is liver out here. Say for example, this is liver out here. Now the liver is present in between what? Body wall and gut wall. This is the gut. Gut starts from mouth, ends with anus. Now this is the gut wall. Between gut wall and body wall, can you see an organ present? What is the organ called? Liver. So the gap between, again I repeat, when the gap between gut wall and body wall, there is a cavity, and this cavity is called coelom. This cavity is called coelom. Now, is it good for you that you have got coelom? Yes, because having coelom, you can house the different organs like liver. You can house the different organs like liver, pancreas, gallbladder. They are present where? They are present between gut wall and body wall. So over here, this is the gallbladder, the pancreas, and this tree is going to dip down where? In the C-shaped duodenum. Clear? Now think about it. So this part is called coelom. If I cut the section and show you like this is the gut wall and this is the body wall. This is the gut wall, and outside the gut wall, you can see there's a green lining, and this is the body wall, there's a green lining. What are these green portions called? They are called mesoderm. They are called mesoderm. That means if this is the gut, and this is the wall, so between gut wall and the body wall, what is present? If mesoderm is present, we are going to call this kind of organism to have a true coelom. We call it eucoelomate organism. Eu means what? We already know. We are talking about eukaryotes. Eu means what? True in biology. That means, what is the meaning of eucoelomate? Eucoelomate means having true coelom. That means, if the coelom or the body, if the body cavity is being lined both inwards and outwards by mesoderm, we call it as a true coelom or eucoelomate organisms. That means when we talk about coelom or body cavity, we can classify these organisms into 3 different types. Yes, Subitan, tell me, what is the type that just now we talked about? Eucoelomate. That means having true coelom or false coelom. So when we are talking about true coelom, that means there is definitely a term called pseudo. So pseudo-coelomate organism. Pseudo means what? Pseudo means false. So having false coelom. Now what is the meaning of having false coelom? Say this is the body wall and this is the gut wall. Between body wall and gut wall, they are not having a well-lined mesoderm. They have got mesoglia in a pouch fashion. They are not completely regular. And these structures are called mesoglia. So pseudo-coelomate, there is only one example of that. There are only one example of that, and that makes this point as a very, very important for NEET examination. And what is that? The phylum having pseudo-coelomate is phylum Aschelminthes. Phylum Aschelminthes. Phylum Aschelminthes. Aschelminthes. And the example of one of the example of this Aschelminthes is what? Roundworm. Tell me, what is the scientific name of roundworm? You have already studied in class 9. Ascaris? Lumbricoides. Very good. Lumbricoides. Ascaris? Lumbricoides. Okay. So this is about pseudo-coelomate. The second type is pseudo-coelomate. Yes, Shubhitan, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what should be the first one? What should be the first term? First one? Having no coelom. Having no coelom is what? Just like this. Just like symmetry. We have talked about the first one is what? Asymmetrical. So what is the term we are expecting right now? Acoelomate. Very good. So this is what now called as acoelomate. That means an organism having without coelom. Means without. So without coelom, without body cavity, the organism having no body cavity. Clear? Which one is the most primitive? Acoelomate. Most advanced? Eucoelomate. What about you, Subita? You are true coelom or acoelomate? Yeah, very good. So you come under eucoelomate. That is all chordates. Majority of the chordates, they come under eucoelomate. This is the third way of classification. Come down to the fourth one. Help me with the fourth one. We can also call it as a germinal layer. So on the basis of germinal layer, we can classify animal kingdom into two types. One is diploblastic and one is triploblastic. One is diploblastic, one is diploblastic, and one is triploblastic. Now, what is the meaning of the term? Di means what? Two means they have got ectoderm and endoderm as a germinal layer. Ecto means what? Ecto means outside, endo means inside. Come on. How you have to remember? Endo, under. Endo, under, inside. Clear? Ecto or exo, outside. Okay. Now, triploblastic. Tri means what? Tri means 3. So, how many layers they have? They have 3 layers. Come on. The first one should be ectoderm, outside. Very good. Endoderm, inside. And in middle is mesoderm. Meso means what? Middle. So whenever you come across a term called meso means always middle. Meso is always middle. So mesoderm, mesoglia, come on, present where? In the middle part. Today also we are going to study, if we can complete these classifications. I'm going to start with the phylum Porifera. We are going to talk about mesenchyme. Fine, the middle layer, between outer layer of the Porifera and the inner layer of the Porifera, they have got mesenchymal layer. We want to talk about mesenchyme also. It's very important in biology. So the word mesenchyme, what is common between mesoderm and mesenchyme? Mes means middle. Clear? So if an organism is having 3 germinal layers, we call them as triploblastic organism. If they have got 2 layers, we are going to call them as diploblastic organism. So now you have got a lot of questions like, sir, what is the meaning of germinal layer? Let us go into that. Yes. Normally we know that this is the female reproductive part. This is the female reproductive part. Fine. Say this is fimbri. Okay. This is not a new diagram that you are watching right now. You know it. Yes. Now, inside this ovary, there is a structure called Graafian follicle. What is this? Graafian follicle. This is Graafian follicle. And this Graafian follicle, they have got secondary oocyte over here, which you call it as ovum. Which you call it as Ovum is present over here. And you already know from class 10th in standard information, from 0 to 28th day, plus minus 2 day, what is it? It's a menstrual cycle. Very good, it's a menstrual cycle, which is shown by all coordinates. All coordinates. Dog shows menstrual cycle? No. So dog shows, very good, estrous cycle. And majority of the mammals which come under the order Primata. Which come under the order Primata. They show what? Menstrual cycle. So it's a menstrual cycle is a 28 plus minus 2 day cycle. Fine. And what happens on the 14th day, in the middle part of this menstrual cycle, what happens? Ovulation occurs. And what is ovulation? Ovulation is nothing but when the gland follicle bursts to release the secondary oocyte. Okay. Now that's a different part. You know, this is called fimbri. This is called fimbri. What is this? This is the first part of the fallopian tube, which we call it as infundibulum. The second part is called ampulla. The third part is called isthmus. And the last part is called uterine part, which is also called as, when you become doctor, you are going to study this term as intramural part. Intramural part. What happens? So there are 4 parts of the fallopian tube. Now you can see these are finger-like projections and they have got receptors over there. The moment the Gavin follicle tries to come out from the ovary. So as because they are receiving that, they have got the finger-like projections and they have got receptors in the inner valve. So the moment there is some event going on inside the ovary that is about to burst, so they sense it, because the secondary oocyte we are talking about, or the ovum we are talking about, basically they are motile or non-motile. They cannot move by themselves. They need either what? Pull or push. So who is going to pull them? It's the fimbri which starts aspirating them. They suck it. So the moment they burst, they can understand that something is going on over there. So the moment they burst, again, why they burst? Why the Gavin follicle? Name the hormone which helps them to burst. LH. Very good. And what is the term we call it? LH surge. We call it LH surge. That is the term. Yes, rightly said. So LH surge is going to stimulate the release of what? The bursting of the gland follicle, so that the ovum comes over here and it reaches over here in the ampulla. That means, sir, how it has come down over here? By the suction by the fimbri, which we call it ovum aspiration. And then the fallopian tube, if you remember, the fallopian tube, they have got ciliated epithelium. They are lined by ciliated epithelium. They have got cilia, and these cilia is going to push this particular secondary oocyte to come over here in the ampulla region, and the ovum comes over here and waits for the right type of sperm to come and fertilize it. And it waits for how many days? Only 24 hours. Fine. So this particular ovum waits over here, and then this is the vagina, and due to copulation, say millions of sperm, close to 480 million sperm approximately, being ejaculated over here inside vagina, and these sperms travels up till they reach over here, and the right type of sperm, there's great science over here. We're going to study in the chapter reproductive health. So there's a chemical dialogue between what? The ovum and the sperm. So the right type of sperm comes over here, and what happens? Zygote gets formed. So name the site where zygote gets formed. It is the ampulla, and we can also call it as isthmus junction. So what is the fertilization site of human body? Name the site where you have been, formed, where the first cell of life got formed. It is in the ampullary isthmus junction. Ampullary isthmus junction of the fallopian tube. Clear? Now over here zygote got formed. Now this zygote, after forming over here, do you think the zygote is going to get implanted over here in the fallopian tube? No, because the fallopian tube diameter is very, very less. The zygote cannot survive over there. It cannot increase in number. So it needs to come down slowly over here inside the uterus. And inside uterus, from the basic idea that you had, is about perimetrium, the outer layer, the middle layer called myometrium, and there is an inner layer called endometrium wall. And this endometrium wall should be thickened enough close to 3 to 5 millimeter thickness should be there in order to help this particular zygote which comes over here and gets implanted. The cell which gets implanted over here, it is close to 32 cell stage, which we call it as blastula. Which we call it as blastula. Okay. Now, let us start the journey from zygote. So, this is zygote, N plus N. What has been formed? Zygote is the first cell of life. And then this zygote divides into 2, and then into 4, and then into 8. Into 8. Stop it. Okay. Now, this is morula. This is morula. This is morula. Now, this is zygote. This is morula. And you can see the cell size remains the same. The cell size remains the same. The cell size remains the same. That means, see over here, the cell size of zygote and the cell size of the morula, they are all the same. That means these are the small cells which have been formed. And this is the 8 cell stage. This is the 8 cell stage morula. And from morula, it becomes a 16 cell stage. And from 16 cell stage, it becomes this structure, which is called as the blastula, which we call it as a blastula. And it's a 32 cell stage. And there are many of the cells which are placed like this. There are many of the cells which are placed like this. Fine. These are each cell. And mind you, out of these cells, some of the cells gets collected over here like this. And these cells in the blastula stage, which is also called as blastocyst, blastocyst. Now this blastula, what happens over here? There are some inner cell mass. The collection of cells are called inner cell mass. Over here, these particular cells are called trophoblast. These cells are called trophoblast. So how many cell stage? 32 cell stage. And over here, this cavity, can you see this cavity? And whenever we talk about cavity in biology, that means we're talking about what? Remember, coelom. Coelom. So seal means cavity. Seal, C-O-E-L. So it's what is the cavity called now? The blastocele. The cavity is called as blastocele. Now, over here, you can see there are some specialized cells. There are some specialized cells present over here. And these specialized cells which differentiate itself to make germinal layers. And these cells are called cells of Robber. Cells of Robber. They form what? Some differentiating cells. And these cells, this germinal layer which has been formed, is the first layer which has been formed outside. And this germinal layer is called ectoderm. And then they also form another layer which we call it as endoderm. Endoderm. And in between these two, they form another cell layer which we call it as mesoderm. So how many germinal layers they have been formed? Now 3 germinal layers have been formed. So this is what stage? Blastula 32 cell stage. Remember, this particular trophoblast, they can get implanted. So they can get implanted inside the endometrium wall of the uterus. This is the endometrium wall of the uterus. And they are going to get implanted. So they are going to be showing some protrusion which goes deep inside the endometrium wall. And the process of this protrusion is called implantation. It's called implantation. So we are going to study the same in reproductive chapter. Okay. Now, these cells are now called as syncytiotrophoblasts. Very good. Syncytiotrophoblasts. And this syncytiotrophoblasts can secrete HCG, human chorionic gonadotropins. And these human chorionic gonadotropins, the presence of this can confirm pregnancy. Okay, that's a different part altogether. Let's talk about this particular 3 germinal layer. Now, when we talk about this 3 germinal layer, this ectoderm, middle part is what? Mesoderm, and the last part is endoderm. The last germinal layer is endoderm. Mind you one thing, this particular piece of information is going to help you to solve many of the questions in NEET. How to remember? From ectoderm, N starts forming. What is N starts for? The nervous system of that embryo when it becomes a complete full-grown baby. What happens? From this N, from this ectoderm, nervous system starts developing. N for nervous system. So when we talk about nervous system, that means how many types of nervous systems are there? We know there are central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and there is also autonomic nervous system. In class 11, we are going to study about that. We are going to study about two of them. Under one, we are going to study another. So nervous system means we are going to talk about brain and spinal cord. We are going to talk about cranial nerves and spinal nerves. We are going to talk about sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Also, under nervous system, we are also going to study about all the 5 sense organs. And what are they? They are eye, nose, come on, ear, tongue, and skin. These are the 5 sense organs. When we talk about eye, so retina also comes under eye. But mind you, retina is a exceptional one. Though retina, we know that the retina is a, if this is the eye, fine. This is the optic nerve. Now the last part of the eye is called sclera, which is fibrous and dead. This fibrous and dead. The middle part is choroid, which is vascular. Choroid, which is vascular. Come on, who will tell me why I have made this kind of imagination?
To show blood vessels.
No. Why have I shown this one? And why I have shown this one? There's a reason behind it. Okay, this is choroid. This is choroid layer. The second layer is called choroid layer, and they are vascular. What is the meaning of the term vascular? Vascular means what? They have got blood vessels. Okay, and then there's an inner layer. There's an inner layer which we call it as retina. See, there's an imagination like this, and there's another one. Fine. So what is this inner layer called? Inner layer is called retina. So mind you, retina, they have been developed from where? From the ectoderm layer only. Retina developed from the ectoderm only. Retina, they are pigmented cells. There are 2 types of cells called rods and cones. But sclera and choroid, they are the part of mesoderm layer, because when we talk about mesoderm, we are talking about C square ED. So the mesoderm forms the first C, and that C is called circulatory system. That means the second layer, that is mesoderm, in that particular growing fetus, it forms what? Circulatory system. And tell me, what are the parts of the circulatory system? That means they help in formation of blood vessels, heart, lymphatic ducts, lymph. So they are produced from the circulatory system, and also there is connective tissue. That means we are talking about what? We are talking about tendon, ligament, bone, blood, cartilage, adipose tissue, areolar tissue. All of them, they have been they start normally from the mesoderm layer, connective tissue. And E for what? E for excretory system. And D for digestive system. So all this organ system, they have been developed from which layer? Mesoderm. And let's talk about endoderm. That means over here, the part of the eye, which is sclera and choroid. So choroid is vascular, and vascular means it's a part of connective tissue. Fine. So this comes under mesoderm layer. When we talk about endoderm, that means we are talking about RRES. What is R stands for? R stands for reproductive system. That means the reproductive system originates from the endoderm. When we talk about res, we are talking about respiratory system. Is this clear? So again, under reproductive system, whenever we are talking about testis and ovary, that should come under what? Testis and ovary should come under the reproductive system only. It should come under what? Endoderm. But this is also an exception. Testis and ovary originate from mesoderm layer. Testis and ovary originates from mesoderm layer. So how to remember it? Ecto, meso, endo. N, C square ED and RRES. NCERT res. From this concept, you can solve many of the questions, like once they asked you in NEET, liver originates from ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. Come on. Mesoderm. Why? Because it's a part of that system. From this concept, you can make any other questions. Only mind you, the exceptions are two. One is sclera and choroid of the eye, and testis and ovary. Both of them, they develop from mesoderm. So that's very, very important. So see, think about it. An organism having three of them, ecto, meso, and endo. That means they are what? Diploblastic or triploblastic? They are diplo or triplo? Triplo. So which one is advanced over the other? So having three germinal layers. So when we talk about a diploblastic organism, that means they have, what is missing in them? That means definitely there are some of the C square ED is absent or not well developed. They are poorly developed, illy developed. Got the point? So diploblastic organisms, what is missing in them? Mesoderm. So all those areas produced from mesoderms are somewhere lacking in them. Their organ system is not that highly developed in diploblastic. So this is the fourth way that we can classify organisms into. Okay. The next one is the fifth one. The fifth one is on the basis of segmentation. On the basis of segmentation, we can classify organism into two. One is pseudo-metamerism. Pseudo-metamerism. And one is metamerism. Now, what is the meaning of metameric segmentation? Is there in NCERT? What is the meaning of metameric segmentation? But NCERT, this is missing. Pseudo-metamerism is missing in NCERT. Now, what is the meaning of metamerism? Consider, you have all seen earthworm. This is, say, earthworm. This is, say, earthworm, okay? Now, they have got many of the segments. That's why they come under annuli. That means annelida. So, many of the segments present over here in the earthworm. And the scientific name of earthworm is, very good, Ferritima postuma. And you know they are the friends of farmers. Yes? Now, there are many segments. You can see they are multi-segmented. They come under which class? Anybody? Polychaeta. They come under which class? Polychaeta or oligochaeta? Not polychaeta. Oligochaeta. There are fewer segments. And polychaeta is neris. Is there in your book? Okay. Now, Ferritima is earthworm. Ferritima postuma is earthworm. And this earthworm, they have got many segments. And you can see one type of organs are present in every other segments, and they are present in repeated fashion. They are present in repeated fashion in every other segment. And this kind of organs which are present in every segment are called excretory organ, and they are called as, come on, very good, nephridia. Nephridia. It's an excretory organ. And they are present in every other segment. Excretory organ, they are present in every other segment. Tushar, tell me, what are the parts that they are present in? The three parts. One is septal nephridia. So nephridia, on the basis of their location, we can call them to be septal nephridia. They are present in every segment. Then there are integumentary nephridia. Integumentary nephridia. That means they are present where? On the skin. Integumentary nephridia. And the last one is pharyngeal nephridia. That means they are present in the pharyngeal part, pharynx region. They are present in the pharynx region. Now, what is so very important about that? Tell me. Over here, you can see nephridia present in every other segment. That means if some of the organs are present in repeated fashion in every other segments, we call them to be metameric segmentation. We call them to be metameric segmentation. So example of metameric segmentation is, so they are called true segmentation. Now, when we talk about true, that means there should be a sum which is called false. So false, pseudo means false. And what is the meaning of false segmentation? False metamerism means what? When we talk about false metamerism, think about it. This is tapeworm having many of the suckers in their head-like structure. We cannot call them to be head, but this is for the first time, these organisms, they have got a head-like structure, which we call them to be scolex. Okay? And these are suckers. These are what? Suckers. The suckers are 1, 2, 3, 4, and at the back side. 5 of them. So everywhere in the head portion, they have got suckers. And they are basically endoparasites. They are basically Endoparasites. That means they're present where? Under or bahar? Under. So they're present inside the body and they remain in the form of parasites. And name the phylum they come under. Phylum? Platyhelminthes. They come under which phylum? Platyhelminthes. So sucker, by the help of sucker, they are going to, grab hold of the intestine where they are present and they are going to take all the nourishment. Now, this is a tapeworm having huge segments. You can see some segments like this. But suddenly you can see the segment size increases the more it goes towards the posterior side of the body. They are all segments. But what is the difference? The difference over here that these segments are immature. These segments are immature, and we call these segments as immature proglottids. Immature proglottids. But in the posterior part, you can see there are large segments, and these large segments are called gravid proglottids. Gravid proglottids. And they have testis and ovary. They have testis and, say this is testis and this is ovary. This is ovary. So tell me, is it dioecious or monoecious? It's unisexual or bisexual? It's a bisexual organism. That means male and female, same part. Come on, in the same body. What is the other term for that? Hermaphrodites. Yeah? Hermaphrodites. Now over here, who is going to tell me? Yes, you. Tell me. Is it a pure metamerism?
No, it's pseudometabolism.
Why we are calling it pseudometabolism?
Because last one
testis and ovary are not present in every other segments. So in the immature proglottids, they don't have the same type of organs. That means when the organs are not present in repeated fashion in every segment, we call that to be pseudometamerism. We call that organism to be pseudometameric segmentation. Pseudometameric segmentation. Is this clear? So the best example of this is what? What is the scientific name of this one? It is Tinea solium. This is Tinea solium, otherwise called as, the common name is pork tapeworm. It is pork tapeworm. So we got the idea about metabolism. We can classify them into two different parts. What are they? Number one is pseudometabolism and the number two is metamerism. So this is the fifth way that we can classify organisms into. Okay. The next one, sixth way that we can classify organisms is on the basis of their body plan. On the basis of the body plan. It's a star mark point for NEET examination. What is body plan? So on the basis of the body plan, there are three different types. Yeah, three different types. And what are they? The first body plan is cell aggregate type. So cell aggregate type of body plan. So they have got cell aggregate type of body plan. Now when we talk about them, what comes immediately in our mind is about porifera. About porifera. So they have got many pores. Porifera. Phylum porifera. Pori means what? Pori means pore. Pores. And fera means what? Bearing. So the pore bearing organisms. So they have got many pores over here. Now in this porifera, how they are special, why we should remember them? See, we should remember them. Why? Because they are some aggregation of cells, because they don't show, having tissue level, they show cellular level of organizations. They are multicellular organisms, but they don't, one cell never interacts with the other. Say for example, the good friend sitting close to you, you're not interacting with that good friend. So definitely you are showing that you are in your class, but you are basically joining the class, but you're only sharing it, you're not sharing it with anybody. That is what? Cellular level of organizations. Mind you, they are just the aggregation of cells. And we call them as cell aggregate type. So whenever we talk about cell aggregate type, what comes immediately in our mind is about phylum porifera. And what kind of level of organizations they have? They have cellular level of organization. They have cellular level of organizations. So very, very important. Though they are multicellular, but still they show cellular level of organizations. And what kind of body plan they show? Cell aggregate type. The second type is what? The second type is blind sac body plan. Blind sac body plan. Sac means what? Sac means bag. We already know that. Sac means bag. Can anybody tell me a particular biological term which means sac? Geum. Very good. Sporangium. Geum is what? Bag which contains spore, sporangium. Okay, so sac we already know. Sac means bag. Consider this. This one. This is Hydra. Say this is Hydra. They have got many tentacles. They have tentacles, and this is a mouth. And this mouth is called hypostome. This is a hypostome of Hydra. So this is Hydra organism. It comes under phylum Nidaria. They have got many tentacles, and the tentacles, they contain stinging cells. They contain neurotoxins, and they are called nematocysts or nidoblast cells. Very good. Now, this is a mouth. So they have got only one mouth, no anus. That means, ये क्या बन गया? बाजार का बैग बन गया बाबा. क्या बन गया? बाजार का बैग. आलू जाएगा यहाँ पे. आलू को वहीं से मुंह से निकालना पड़ेगा. So the only one way that you can. So they have only one mouth, and the same mouth is acting as what? Anus only. So that means they have got blind sac body plan, and the example is majority of the Nidarians. And Hydra is one of them. Clear? So this is called blind sac body plan, having one opening, no exit. The same opening acts as the exit only. The same mouth acts as anus. Okay. The last one is the mouth, the tube within a tube body plan. Tube within a tube body plan. So whenever we talk about tube within a tube body plan, that means inside a single tube, consider your body to be a tube. And inside our body, there is another tube which starts with a mouth, ends with anus. This is the mouth, and in the end portion of our body, what is there? Anus. So consider the whole body to be a tube, and the tube which is present right from mouth, then esophagus, then stomach, small intestine, large intestine, then sigmoid colon, rectum, anus. So it's a tube inside a tube. And this is the most what? Advanced type. What about us? We have got tube within a tube body plan. What about all vertebrates? Tube within a tube body plan. What about some invertebrates like Annelida, earthworm, just now we talked about. They've got mouth at one end and anus at the other end. Consider the whole body as a tube. Consider the whole body as a tube. Think about it. The whole body as a tube, and they have got mouth. They have got mouth and anus at the opposite ends. So we can call this to be, tube having another tube inside. Which starts with a mouth, ends with? So this is a tube in the tube body plan. So on the basis of body plan, we can classify them into three different types. That is cell aggregate type, blind sac body plan, and tube within a tube body plan. This is the sixth one. Okay, let's get into the next one, and that is seventh one. When we talk about the next one, on the basis of the development in the embryonic stage, embryonic stage, we can classify organism into two different. One is protostomia, and the one is called deuterostomia. Deuterostomia. Now, many a times we have talked about the term in biology. Stomo means what? What is the study of mouth called? It's stomology. So the word stomo means what? Mouth. So proto means what? Primitive. That means those organisms wherein the mouth develops first in the embryonic stage. So this is the embryonic stage. And during the embryonic stage, there is a structure called blastopore. There is a structure called blastopore. And we are going to talk about blastopore later. From blastopore, if the mouth develops first, and then anus, then those organisms will be called as protostomia. Example, all invertebrates except echinodermata. That means phylum Porifera. Then, Nidaria, Ctenophora, Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Helichordata. But Echinodermata, they never show protostomia. So till Mollusca, they show what? Right from Porifera to Mollusca, they show what? Protostomia. What about deuterostomia? Deutero means what? Later. Stoma means what? Mouth. So mouth later. So this mouth develops later. So from blastopore, from the structure called blastopore, which part develops first? It is the anus which develops first, and then later mouth. Got the point? And it starts from phylum Echinodermata to all chordates. Phylum Echinodermata to all chordates. So this is about deuterostomia. Star point. Okay? Now, this is the seventh way that we can classify them. Okay, the next classification. On the ability of coping up with the environment, on the basis of temperature regulation, on the basis of temperature regulation with that of the environment, we can classify them into two different parts. One is called warm-blooded animals and one is cold-blooded animals. Fine, cold-blooded. Warm-blooded are those organisms which can cope up with their environment, with their present environment. There is some mechanism by which they can cope up. Which part of vertebrates, which part of the body in vertebrates they help in coping up with the environment, with temperature regulation, osmoregulation is done by, tell me, some part over here, some part over here, hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. So warm-blooded animals, they have basically homeothermous organism. That means those organisms which can regulate their body temperature with that of the environment. Fine, got the point? Like you are playing the football, and what is going to happen? And the temperature outside is 38 degrees Celsius. What is going to happen? You're going to sweat out. And name the part which is going to help in that. Why? Because your body temperature has been increased or decreased due to metabolism. Due to increased metabolism, you are running after that ball. And what is going to happen? There will be increased metabolism, and metabolism ultimately is going to make what? Heat. So to maintain that body heat, what comes out? Sweat. Name the organ which helps in this. What is going to happen to the blood vessels? Is going to get dilated or constricted? The blood vessels is going to get dilated to supply more amount of what? Blood. Fine. Now think about it. So homeothermous animals, they can maintain or regulate their body temperature without the environment. What about cold-blooded animals? What is the other term for that? Poikilothermous. Come on. Poikilothermous animals. So basically they are cold-blooded. That means they cannot regulate their body temperature without the environment. So what they go for? They go for suspension from work. They go for suspension from work. Like, can you expect a cobra, naja in winter? You cannot expect them to be present. Why? Because now they are into what? Winter sleep. And what is that called? Hibernation. So they are now going to get suspended from work. They are themselves they are not going to work. So many of the reptiles, they go for this hibernation. What about other one? So hibernation is what? It's a winter sleep. Hibernation is winter sleep. What about summer sleep? It is estivation. It is estivation. It is summer sleep. It is summer sleep. Estivation. How to remember this? As. Come on. Estivation. S. This is how you can remember it. Okay. So this is about temperature regulation. On the basis of temperature regulation, we can classify them. The ninth one is about on the basis of digestion. On the basis of digestion, digestion can be of two different types. It can be intracellular digestion. They can show intracellular digestion, or they can show what? Extracellular digestion. Extracellular digestion. Now, anybody from my students, come on. Who is going to tell me? Yes, intracellular. That means if this is amoeba, so amoeba, they have got what? Pseudopodia. And the moment they get a food, they are going to digest the food inside the cell or outside the cell? Inside the cell. So they are intracellular digestion. What about us? We digest the cell, we digest the food inside the cell or outside the cell, inside organ. Come on, if this is stomach, and this is the food, do you think this is an oxyntic cell? What is the cell? It is oxyntic cell. And this oxyntic cell secretes HCl. It secretes HCl. So this is another cell called chief cell. Chief cell. And this chief cell secretes what? Inactive pepsinogen. Inactive pepsinogen. And this inactive pepsinogen, when it comes in contact with the HCl, becomes active pepsin. So they are pro-enzymes, inactive enzymes, pepsinogen. And when it comes in contact with the HCl, they become what? They become active pepsin. And this active pepsin digests the food. Come on. Do you think this food is going to go inside the cell and they're going to digest it? Or they're going to digest outside the cell?
Outside the cell.
That is outside the cell, inside the organ. What is the name of the organ?
Stomach.
Stomach is the name of the organ. So what kind of digestion we are showing? Extracellular or intracellular? Which one is advanced over the other? Okay, done. Next. On the basis of fertilization, we can classify them into two. What is that? The number one is internal fertilization and external fertilization. Internal and external fertilization. Okay. Which one? We show what kind of fertilization? We have already talked about that. We have already talked about that it is inside the fallopian tube. Inside the fallopian tube, the second tube oocyte or ovum was present, and the sperm gets inside the ampulla isthmus junction and fertilizes the ovum. So it takes place inside the body or outside the body?
Inside the body.
So what kind of fertilization we show?
Internal fertilization.
Again, tell me, the size of the sperm and ovum are all the same or they're different?
Different.
If they are different, what kind of ugami? What kind of gamete they show? They show ugami. What is that called? Isogamy or anisogamy? Anisogamy. So special type of anisogamy where one is motile,
Another one is small.
motile and smaller, flagellated, sometimes flagellated in case of algae, we have studied about that. Fine. And another one should be non-motile. If that happens, we call that as ugamy. So this kind of fertilization is what? Internal or external fertilization? Internal fertilization. What about external fertilization? Think about amphibia, think about fishes. They show what kind of fertilization? That means the union between sperm and ovum, the union between two gametes, that is syngamy, when it takes place outside the body or inside the body?
Outside the body.
The chances of fertilization will be more in external or more in internal? Come on. More in internal. Okay? Very good. So this is about fertilization that we can classify them into two different categories. Okay? Now, the next one is on the basis of circulatory system. On the basis of circulatory system, we can classify them into two. One is open circulatory system and one is closed circulatory system. Closed circulatory system. When we talk about closed circulatory system, that means when the blood, which is pumped by the heart, travels through the blood vessels in a closed medium. So every other organ, they have got the blood vessels straight away connected with the heart. Not heart straight away, but through aorta, it goes to different parts of the organs. So that is called closed circulatory system. But what is open circulatory system? When there is a heart-like structure which pushes some of the fluid, like in case of arthropod, what is the fluid they push off? What is the blood in arthropod or insects? The blood is called hemolymph. And the cavity where through it goes off is called hemocoel. It's called?
Hemocoel.
Is there any blood vessels over there? No. So that is called open circulatory system. That is called open circulatory. So on the basis of circulatory system, this is very, very important for NEET, mind you. There are two closed and open circulatory system. Now, when we're talking about closed circulatory system, that means we are talking about what? Human? No. All vertebrates. Along with there are some invertebrates like Annelida. It started off with what? Which type of invertebrates? Right from Annelida. See Annelida, this earthworm. So they show closed circulatory system. But what about arthropods? They show open circulatory system. In case of insects, they show open circulatory system. What about mollusca? What about snails? They also show what? Open circulatory system. Okay. The next one, this is the 11th way. The next one is 12th. What else? We can classify organisms, on the basis of their excretory organs. On the basis of their excretory organs. Excretory organs. See, when we talk about excretory organs, see, in invertebrates like, in case of phylum Platyhelminthes, that is tapeworm, what is the excretory organ they have? This is not organ, this is flame cells. They are called flame cells. They're present where? The flame cells are present in Platyhelminthes. In Platyhelminthes, that means we are talking about tapeworm. platyhelminthes. Not only tapeworm, they are present where in along with tapeworm there is planaria also, flame cells. Then there is a coxal gland. Coxal gland, it also acts as an excretory organ in case of crustaceans. In case of crustaceans, present where in arthropods. Then there are Malpighian tubules. Malpighian tubules. Malpighian tubules are there in cockroach. That means they are also present where in class Insecta. Class Insecta under phylum Arthropoda. Under phylum Arthropoda. Fine. Then there are some coxal glands, green glands. So they are present in crustacea also. So these are the cells, specific cells present. But when we talk about the way that they can excrete out are of three different types. In what form they can excrete? Either they can excrete in the form of ammonia or uric acid or urea. So when we talk about if they release out ammonia, we call them to be ammonotelic organism. Ammonotelic organism. Then they have ureotelic organism, just like us. Ureotelic organism. We secrete out what? Urea. If they secrete out ammonia, we call them ammonotelic organism. And the last one is uricotelic. The last one is uricotelic organism. Uricotelic organisms. Fine. Uricotelic organisms. Ammonotelic organisms are basically, majority of them are aquatic organisms. And these aquatic organisms includes majority of the invertebrates, and some of the vertebrates like, come on, Osteichthyes or Chondrichthyes? Osteichthyes. Now Osteichthyes, that is bony fish, they secrete out what? Ammonia, and some lower amphibians like tadpoles, they secrete out ammonia. So these are vertebrates or invertebrates? Fishes are vertebrates or invertebrates? Vertebrates. That means majority of the invertebrates and some of the vertebrates like Osteichthyes, bony fish, and tadpoles of amphibia, they're the larvae of amphibia. When we talk about ureotelic organisms, that means now these are advanced over there, advanced over ammonotelic, and basically chondrichthyes, that means cartilaginous fish like shark, pomfret, they secrete out what? They secrete out urea. And some adult amphibians, that means frog, they secrete out what? Urea. And what about majority of the vertebrates? All vertebrates. Not all vertebrates. Why? Because you cannot call them all vertebrates, because in vertebrates also the birds comes up. And birds and reptiles, they show what? Birds and reptiles, they come under uricotelic. So birds, reptiles, that means aves, reptilia, reptiles, they excrete out what? Uric acid. So these are the ways that we can classify the whole group of kingdom Animalia. Yes, on the basis of development also we can classify them. Also on the basis of development we can classify them. And we can classify them on the basis of development into two. One is on the basis of development, we can classify them into two. What is that? One is direct development and the one is indirect development. What is the meaning of indirect development? They have got egg stage, then from egg larva comes up. From larva is a pupa which starts growing up, and from pupa it's an adult. That means this stage you can see in what? In moth, in insects. Fine? In arthropods. And in different type of organisms where there is a larva, the presence of larva means they show what kind of development? Indirect or direct? Now what is the meaning of direct development? Now what is direct development? That means when you have taken birth, बोलो आपको देखने से कैसा लगा? Human or alien? Alright, human. So come on. So that is what is direct development. When the organism which have taken birth is just a miniature of your kind, of adult kind, and that is called direct development. So these are the different types of ways that we can classify kingdom Animalia. Fine. That means whenever we are going to talk, how many points we have studied? 13. Now, whenever we are going to study about any phylum, say we are going to start with a phylum Porifera. So how many points we can talk about? 13 points. Along with the 13 points, on an average, Along with the 13 points, every other phylum, they have got some special characteristics. Like when we talk about phylum Porifera, if you have got a little bit of information on Porifera, they have got water canal system. So water canal system comes up over there. Fine. So there's a specialization. So what is the point? How many points you have got? 13 plus 1, 14 points you have got. And they have got other special categories also. Now, in NCERT, none of the class being mentioned. Say phylum Porifera. When we are going to study about phylum Porifera, we are going to classify them into 3 classes. The first one is class Calcarea. Now, mind you, biology is very easy if you understand the terms. In Calcarea, what is present? Calcium. So, if their body is mainly made up of calcium carbonate, they will come under Calcarea, class Calcarea. Fine. The second one is called Hexanictelida. Hexanictelida. Now, hexa means what? 6. So, if they have got 6 rays of siliceous spicules, means they have got silicon and they are present in 6 rays, they will come under Hexanictelida. Fine. Hexa means what? 6. And what's the difference between Calcarea and Hexanictelida? The difference is calcium over there and they have got silicon. And the last one, the third class, is about Demospongia. What is the name of this class? Demospongia. Demospongia, 90%, almost 90% of the poriferans, they are Demospongia. In Demospongia, they have got spongin fiber. They have got, as well as they have got silicon, siliceous spicules. So Demospongia, they have got siliceous spicules and spongin fiber, and they are not having 6 rays of it. Got the point? So the example is being given in your book called Cycon. Cycon is an example of Demospongia. So next day we are going to talk about what? We are going to start with the phylum, all the phylum, and that is phylum Porifera, then phylum Cnidaria. That is how we are going to go on. Clear? That's all about the class right now, and very soon we are going to get into the next level with the phylum Porifera. Fine? That's all for now. Thank you. Sure. Any doubt that you have got? You can ask me. Yes, you. Any doubt? Sure. Can you tell me some of the classifications? Just name some of the classifications. Each one of you should be telling me only one of them. Close your books, any one of them. How we can classify animal kingdom? Name one classification.
Level of
Organization. Very good. What is the basic level? Cellular level. Very good. Tell me, Ankita. Metamerism. How many types we can classify them into?
Metamerism and pseudometamerism.
Okay, very good. Example of pseudometamerism. Tapeworm. Very good. You tell me one. Development, direct and indirect. Then you. Ayushi, yes. Wait. Ayushi. Germinal layers. How many of them? Diploblastic and triploblastic. Very good. Which one is advanced over the other? Tell me. How do you remember triploblastic organisms? N, C square E D, R R E S. Very good. Exceptions.
Gonads and retina.
Not retina, sclera and choroid. Yes. You tell me one. Coelom. Very good. On the basis of coelom, how many types? Acoelomate, pseudocoelomate and eucoelomate. Which one is the most advanced? Eucoelomate. Why? Because they are lined by, name the term. Mesoderm. Very good. What is the, in case of pseudocoelom, what is that lining called? Yes. Mesoglia. Very good. Tell me another way we can classify. A point where we can classify. Acoelomate, pseudocoelomate, eucoelomate. Tell me another way of classification of organisms. Warm-blooded and cold-blooded on the basis of their ability to cope with the environment. Tell me one. That we have done already. Any point? Fertilization, internal and external. Tell me one. Symmetry. Asymmetrical, bilateral symmetry, radial symmetry, and last one? Biradial symmetry. Tell me, Vishal, one. Yes? Excretory organs. How many types we can classify them? Ammonotelic, uricotelic, and ureotelic. You're missing two of them, the most vital. Body plan, cell aggregate type, blind sac body plan, tube within a tube body plan. Another one you're missing in the embryonic stage, protostomia and deuterostomia. When the mouth develops first from blastopore and when the anus develops from blastopore, deuterostomia. Fine, that's all. 13 points you have to remember, and we can also increase the numbers on the basis of what? On the basis of respiration. On the basis of respiration, if they respire by the help of gills, we call it branchial respiration. If they respire, or cutaneous respiration. No, cutaneous respiration is by the help of their skin. If by the help of their gills, branchial respiration. By the help of their lungs, pulmonary respiration. So we can classify them like that. Clear? That's all for now. Just we are going to start with the next day. We are going to start with the phylum Porifera. Chalo, all the best. You talk to madam, huh? Go over there and talk to madam. Yeah. What is this? This is animal kingdom. Hi. Hi. Ah, very good. Very good. Hi. Hi. Very good evening, Baba.